is over an ugly political fight over what happened in those days of April when we saw people in Delhi dying for the lack of oxygen. The Supreme Court had asked the centre that an affidavit be given of a panel be set up to actually audit what happened in the oxygen demand. So the centre has now given an affidavit which says that Delhi had actually exaggerated its oxygen demand by up to 4 times. But after that affidavit, the Delhi government had a press conference with Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodiya saying that there was no such report. In fact, this report was not even signed. This committee was headed by Dr. Guleria of AIIMS. It also included a senior doctor of Max and other doctors as well as the Delhi's Chief Secretary. However, the Max doctor has said that he didn't agree with this panel report. The Delhi bureaucrat also dissented.
The traumatic few weeks in April-May when Delhi ran short of oxygen.
ब्लैक सैटरडे के रूप से मैं उसको देखता हूँ। कोई ऐसी जगह नहीं छोड़ी जहाँ पर हमको इंफॉर्मेशन न भेजे।
मेरे भाई साहब और भाभी दोनों की होगी, दोनों की इकट्ठी कर दी थी ऑक्सीजन की वजह से, ऑक्सीजन नहीं था जी।
You have 130 patients on your shoulders in your hospital and your oxygen is running out.
They were my patients. They were my responsibility. They came on faith of Dr. Baruja and Jaipur Golden Hospital.
Now, this affidavit filed in the top court by the centre has created a political slugfest in the capital. A senior official told the Supreme Court subgroup, headed by the AIIMS director, that Delhi used the wrong formula to calculate oxygen requirement and made exaggerated claims. Top union ministers, including the finance minister and BJP leaders, tweeted the report to target the Kejriwal government. The Delhi chief minister retorted on Twitter, "While you were holding election rallies, I was awake all night arranging for oxygen. People have lost their loved ones due to lack of oxygen. Don't call them liars. They feel so bad." While the Delhi government officials have deposed before the panel, the AAP government refuses to acknowledge the interim report as it says there are no signatories.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेता सुबह से जिस तथाकथित रिपोर्ट के हवाले से अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को गाली दिए जा रहे हैं, वैसी कोई रिपोर्ट एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करती।
ये विश्वास हम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं कि ऑक्सीजन को लेकर जिस प्रकार की राजनीति अरविंद केजरीवाल जी ने और दिल्ली सरकार ने किया, आज उसका पर्दाफाश हुआ है। जब यह रिपोर्ट इंटरिम रिपोर्ट ऑफ ऑक्सीजन ऑडिट इन एनसीटी ऑफ दिल्ली पैनल के रिपोर्ट में जिस प्रकार का विषय सामने आया है, वो चौंकाने वाला है।
The centre's contention is that there's a discrepancy of about 4 times in the actual oxygen consumption claimed versus the calculated formula. The centre's formula on oxygen demand is based on 50% of non-ICU beds use oxygen. But the Delhi government points out that this assumption is not correct for COVID-19, a respiratory disease, and that in fact almost all hospitalized patients need a regular supply of oxygen. The Delhi government says that the panel was yet to do an actual on-ground audit of hospitals to resolve this. The biggest flashpoint was on Delhi's stated demand for 700 metric tons of oxygen in the Supreme Court. The centre has disputed this, saying some hospitals couldn't differentiate between KL and MT and same was not examined while projecting 700 MTs. However, the Delhi government rebutted this, telling the panel that calculation of 700 MT is fully in line with ICMR guidelines and directions of the Government of India, and that this projection was based on active cases, which was around 1 lakh. Interestingly, the objections by the Delhi government were made by its Principal Secretary Home, who is also a member of the audit group. The panel is led by the AIIMS director, Dr. Guleria. Another member, Dr. Buddhi Raja, who didn't attend a meeting on the 18th of May, sent a note saying that the calculation should have been based on actual consumption, including refilling oxygen cylinders, and not on the basis of formula. This effectively means 2 out of 5 members have dissented. The centre's contention is also based on 4 Delhi hospitals wrongly claiming high consumption of oxygen with few beds. For now, the panel has recommended that 300 metric tons should be made available to Delhi on a short basis and additional quota of 100 metric tons also be made available to Delhi. Delhi to keep a buffer stock of 50 to 100 metric tons for any emergency. Current requirement of Delhi is between 290 and 400 metric tons.
On 30th June, the top court will take up issues relating to the pandemic, vaccine policy, availability of oxygen, etc. The hearing on that day is likely to be stormy with the centre and the Delhi government taking their political fight to the courtroom. With Sharat Sharma in New Delhi, this is Arunachalam Vaidyanathan, NDTV.